on computers. We do a lot of shows on artificial intelligence. Trying to roll all that into one show today. We have Gerald Celente, a publisher of the Trends Journal, who does exactly that, try to look into the future. Gerald, welcome back to the show. I appreciate the time.
Oh, thanks for having me back.
I was looking through your Trends Journal, and there's a bunch of things, obviously, I want to talk to you about, but let me take a little bit of a bleak. I was reading in Science magazine 2 days ago, and it was a talk about the bombs that are being made now by the United States and perhaps others. And here's a sentence. It says, scientists say arms makers have crossed into troubling territory. They're developing weapons that rely on artificial intelligence, not human instruction, to decide what it decides to target and whom to kill. And I notice in your journal you have a section on artificial intelligence. Where do you see all this going?
Well, when you talk about bombs, for instance, I mean, is it artificial intelligence that's killing people now with these things? I mean, or you want to call it military intelligence. So what I'm saying is it's out of control in either aspect. And what the artificial intelligence does, it just keeps removing it and keeps making it less and less personal, just as drone strikes are. I mean, people don't follow what really goes on every day. For example, 2 days ago, 6 killed in Yemen with a drone strike, 8 killed in North Waziristan in Pakistan. So how are they doing it? It's artificial. So it's just bringing another level of artificiality to it. People are totally disconnected from it. So, for example, the people that are you know who they kill with these drone strikes. It's always suspected militants. Suspected. I mean, come on. There used to be a thing called international law. So when you look at artificial intelligence, what it just keeps doing, it keeps removing the people away from the human experience. It's accelerating the video game mentality to levels far beyond what most people could ever comprehend, but what science has for a long time, and that's eliminating the human touch to the experience, and that's what the technology is doing more and more, particularly with this artificial intelligence.
In your journal, you say artificial intelligence, and I paraphrase, the results of it is challenging our ability to separate what's human from what's not. And there's a photograph that I of a real live human female, but it is either a computer or a robot with artificial intelligence. Where do you think that section is going? Forget the weapons, forget what we're doing with war, just in our lifestyle, in the future of our lifestyles. Where are we going with artificial intelligence, robots, that kind of thing?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It becomes more and more impersonal. And you can see it even with the simple things, with texting, the way it is. It's not the personal relationship, but yet people are getting the gratification as though it is, or thinking they are. So what the artificial intelligence is doing is it's whether in weaponry or communications, it's separating us from the human experience. And to me, by the way, I see this. It's a two-edged sword, in the sense that we're losing touch with what makes the human, and it's happening so fast that it's hard to comprehend. My offices are on the main on the ground level here, and it used to be an old supermarket, like an A&P. It's called the Mohegan Markets. There were 13 of them on the East Coast over here, and I watch people walk by all day long, and I look at them as the walking dead. Now remember, I'm in Colonial Kingston, New York. The courthouse where John Jay was a juror and 3 other Supreme Court justices is right across the street. The most historic corner in the United States, the only place on each corner where there's a stone building that predates the Revolutionary War. People walk down this beautiful street, and they don't see a thing around them. They're either texting, they're either talking on their phones, they either have headphones on, or so plugs in their ears rather, or they're sipping on a 32-ounce whatever drink from the Dunkin' Donuts around the corner. So what I'm saying is that the artificial intelligence is taking people away more and more from the human experience. And I see that as quite a danger, because as I look at it, and the motto of the Trends Journal is think for yourself, so I'm not proselytizing or telling anybody what to think or what to believe. As I see it, it's going to take a renaissance, a rediscovery of what art and beauty means in terms of finding the true meaning of the human spirit to push people and civilization ahead, not technology or artificial intelligence.
All right, let's take our first break. Come back, talk about the top trends for 2015. We're on the radio with Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, and we're always looking for people that think on trends in the and what may be coming. WWL, Big 870 AM, 105.3 FM. All right, we're talking to Gerald Celente. He is the publisher of the Trends Journal, and we're looking at the future, trying to get a glimpse of what may be coming. Gerald, I want to go to the top trends for 2015, but I want to go back very quickly to artificial intelligence. We had a physicist on probably about a year ago, and Wikipedia says he's one of the top physicists in the world. And he'd written a book called Waking Up in Time, a little small book. But his thesis was that he thinks that, I think year was 2024, 2025, we will have a computer that will make another computer that will be slightly better than it. Then, through exponential increasing of time, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, will eventually have computers that it's not that they will take over, it's that when we put whatever information in them, we'll oftentimes get things out we don't understand. And I discounted that. I didn't believe that. But at a later date, a couple of months later, I had one of the people that was one of the top innovative people at Apple, and they were working on a project where they were trying to put into the phone the translation of any foreign language you could think of. And they put over 300,000 recorded voices in it, and they couldn't get the thing going. And they were all sitting around a conference table. And one of them said, well, what's the damn thing would just tell us where the local Pizza Hut is? And the phone said, 2 blocks down, turn right. And that's how Siri was born. So it kind of reflected what he had said. We put information out, got something that we weren't expecting. Do you see any of that? And if so, what does that cause? Is that a disruption of any kind or just a better lifestyle?
Here's the way I look at it. We see this technological surge. And again, those of us old enough to remember, 1994 was really when the whole, computer revolution started taking place, and people really started getting them. I got domain names back then. TrendsResearchInstitute.com, TrendsJournal, Trend Alert. You can never get those things now. It was brand new. So trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. On the life cycle of this, it's only in its my early teen years when you put it into the life cycle. So then I say, okay, look at how quickly advances have come since then. Again, we all remember when you didn't see webcast, these static movement things on the computer. And here's how I look at it. If it was bringing such a great opportunity of human development, why are we in the problems that we are now? So I would say that as you look at the nation, for example, by any quantitative measurement, not hearsay or emotion, whether it's social, economic, political, we're at all-time lows at different levels. political. Look at the election that we just had. This thing should be called invalid. What, 36% of the nation turned out to vote? What is this, Ghana? Then you look at the education system. Oh, yeah, we're spending all this money putting technology in education. We don't even win place or show among OECD nations. You look at health care. We spend more than virtually just about anybody, and we have very little to show for it in terms of the health of the nation. So when you look at the technology, to me, it's become a disconnect rather than looking at situations for what they are. Again, to me, the Internet has become the Alexandrian library. As a researcher, boy, I love it. But guess what? I don't carry a cell phone. I have one in the glove compartment of my car in case I get in an accident or whatever I need it for whatever reason. Other than that, I don't want to be distracted. I have to practice my craft, and I don't want people jamming my head with things I don't have to know about until I really have to know about them.
All right, talk to me. We got about 5 minutes before we take our first break. Give me some of the top trends from 2015.
All right, here's one. In trend forecasting, what we say is current events form future trends. You're doing what you're doing, I'm doing what I'm doing, and most people are doing what they're doing because of decisions that we've made in our lives. And then there are the wild cards. So you can see the shape of the future by the present. Here's something that everyone should be watching, and that is oil prices. We've been on top of this since June when they peaked at $115 a barrel. You're looking now from $115 a barrel as we speak. Brent crude is down to $70 a barrel. You're looking at West Texas, 75. So what does that mean? Yes, there's more supply than ever, but guess what? Demand is way off. So what do you do with this? Where's the economy going? You don't have to be Einstein to figure this one out. You have global demand that stinks. You have a bubble that has burst in China, and people don't know it. They can't see it, and they can't hear it, and a lot of it's being covered up. So again, if the United States and Europe aren't buying a lot of stuff, China's not making them. China's housing bubble, by the way, about 25 to 30% of China's GDP is real estate related. It went from a growth level of 27% last year. It's down already almost 15% this year. The bubble has burst. So now you go back to oil. And then you look at copper. And you look at iron ore. We are in conditions that very much mirror prior to World War II, and we're moving toward a World War III. This is how you put it all together. So, for example, you had the crash of 1929, a depression, a recession, currency wars, trade wars. You have the same thing going on now. There's a depression going on. You look at the numbers. I'll give you an example. The government in this country is putting out fake numbers, period, paragraph. You look at the jobs that are being created, and you look at the last round. Oh, they created, 41,000 jobs or something like that in the retail, in the hospitality sector, which means being a waitress or a bartender. And then you pick up yesterday's report, the NPD report on people going out to restaurants. It's way off. So how does this add up? If the people aren't going out to restaurants, how are they creating jobs here? And the jobs they're creating stink. Go back to oil prices, go back to a slowdown, and go back to now what Japan is doing. Japan is pumping in money at the rate of which the United States, if we were doing it on a yearly basis, comparing to GDPs, it would be $3 trillion a year. So what has that done? It's brought the yen down to 7-year lows against the dollar. It's depreciated the yen 50% against the Chinese yuan and the South Korean won 40%. What does that mean? Trade wars. Currency wars, trade wars. They devalue their currency so they could sell more of their stuff. So you can see where you put all the pieces together. So you want to look at a top trend of 2015, you're looking at a severe economic slowdown, a currency war, and a push toward more war.
I think I want to go home now.
Well, again, I'm just telling you what it looks like. I mean, I like to boogie before, and have a great time and eat wonderful food, and
I haven't sucked my thumb in years.
Yeah, I mean, I love life. This is what it is. I'm not making the numbers up.
All right, well, look, can I get 10 more minutes of your time?
Sure.
Because we're going to rummage around, see if we see any sunlight. Coming up next, WWL, Big 870 AM 105.3 FM. I think we all, at one point in time, like to think about, what's the future going to bring? We have a gentleman on the line with us who does just that on a daily basis. He runs the TrendsJournal, History Before It Happens. Gerald Celente is the publisher thereof. Gerald, for the audience edification, whenever I have you on, I've looked you up, I've looked at other things you've done to see if you do this for a living, how have you done? Now, I'm looking at just one of the articles I found. This is USA Today, and I think it was 2000, 2001. A couple of things you said. There's going to be a wave of anti-Americanism, global-wise, sweeping the globe. I think that's happened. You talked about a recessionary economy that was going to shape the markets, and that was pre-2008. The war on drugs will lose its popular support. I think we're seeing that. Immigration will inflame passions, become a major polarizing political force. I think we're seeing that. Even talk about Russia getting away for their experiment with capitalism and heading for possible civil wars. And you were right on a number of other things. So I think you've got some history and predicting history that runs pretty good.
Well, thank you. Well, you get them, you hit them, you miss them. It's only human. But I've been doing this since 1980, and I have a number of books: Trends 2000, Trend Tracking, and the one you read, the USA Today one, that I warned a wave of anti-Americanism would sweep the globe, and Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad, and that was 9 months before 9/11. Because I've been writing about, that there was going to be another terrorist strike. And again, whether or not people believe it was an inside job, whatever happened, it happened. And I don't get into the whys or why nots, who did what to whom. It's just that as the facts that are generally accepted, it happened. And I'm very concerned about where we're heading now, because as I look at it, this is very reminiscent of World War I, where you had world leaders that were ranged between psychopaths and sociopaths that took a world to war that didn't have to happen. And we've never recovered from it. When you look at the problems, for example, in the Middle East that exist today, it was the breakup of the Ottoman Empire after World War I, carved up by the English and the French in the Sykes-Picot. I mean, you look at the map of the Middle East, these straight lines that made a country called Iraq. I wonder why they keep fighting all the time. And one country after another, Syria, Lebanon, on, Jordan. I mean, they made these places up. So what I'm saying right now, as we're listening, watching, and looking at world leaders, they're taking us to another war. And I just heard, as on the break, Secretary of Defense Hagel said we're making progress against ISIS. Save it, Junior. I'm tired of this stuff. I don't want to hear this baloney anymore. I've been hearing it for how many years about the progress in Afghanistan and the progress in Iraq? So it just keeps going on, and it keeps widening and getting bigger. And to address this, by the way, on May 2nd, 2015, we are launching Occupy Peace. The website's occupypeace.us. It's based on 3 words: no foreign entanglements. I mentioned to you that you're talking to me from colonial Kingston, New York. The seeds of democracy was sown here. Every one of the founding fathers, beginning with George Washington, a real commander-in-chief, A guy that fought on the battlefield, not plays golf, basketball, and drives pickup trucks and throws out the line. His farewell address, no foreign entanglements. And the world was at war back then, if anybody didn't forget. Madison, Adams, Franklin, every one of the founding fathers, no foreign entanglements. So we're launching Occupy Peace, and we're going to have takeaways. This isn't a rally just to yell and scream. This is, I say, I'd rather fight for peace than die for war. And as a trend forecaster, I can see the wars. Oh, listen to this cheap line Obama just came out with. A couple of months ago, we're going to save them Yazidis on the mountain. You know what a Yazidi is. You got them all over New Orleans, I'm sure. We got them up here as well. We're going to save them Yazidis. This is a humanitarian mission. No. We're not going back. No boots on the ground. I got a word. We'll call them advisors. Hey, how's that, huh? Nice word. Remember it from Vietnam? And now what are they going to do? Oh, now we're going to Syria. Yeah, we're going to stop them Yazidis from killing Yazidis and Christians in Syria. Oh, and now we're going after Assad.
Gerald, before I lose you, let me ask you one last quick question. See any sunshine? Any good stuff?
That's why we're doing it. The sunshine is with Occupy Peace. What we're going to do with Occupy Peace is stay out of everybody else's business, bring home the troops, seal the borders, and rebuild America. That's the opportunity, to rebuild this country, to bring it back to the land of opportunity, and stop the nation building, and let's start building our communities and our states. That's the positive element. The future is in our hands, not in the politicians.
Gerald,
only if you want to give it to them.
If somebody wants to read your Trends Journal, how do they get it?
TrendsJournal.com, TrendsJournal.com, and our other site is OccupyPeace.us.
Appreciate the time. You have a great day. Good talking to you.
Thanks for having me on. Bye-bye now.
Coming right back, WWL, Big 870 AM 105.3 FM. 2 is with all of this, you have one officer allegedly at an emergency room when a 3-year-old was brought in, alleged sexual assault, diagnosed with a sexually transmitted disease, and he didn't perform a criminal investigation, just dropped it. Another detective alleged to have been assigned 11 simple rape cases over a 3-year period, only took one to the DA, possibly, as it said in the news. She told others she didn't think simple rape should be a crime. And the third one, allegedly detected, same unit, documented no results from a rape exam kit. The evidence that he supposedly collected never left NOPD's evidence room. And we can say, like some of the union leaders say, hey, before we go condemning and convicting these people, we ought to be careful what they say exactly. The union leader said, let's not jump to the gun to demonize these individuals. And I agree. That's why I said allegedly and reportedly, and perhaps it will be proven that the Inspector General's allegations are wrong. But here's my question. If we're going to trust that the system will fix this, consider this was a major part of what was to be fixed. When Chief Surpass came in here, he was quoted. When we got here in 2010, the unit, the sex crime unit, quite honestly, was a dismal failure. So it's been a focus. And keep this in mind. We have a police monitor. We have the federal government and all the people that are trying to implement the consent decree. We have the crime coalition. We have the city council, criminal justice committee. We have the public integrity bureau. And Surpass said he investigated this and did what he could to make it right. with all of these agencies, this national, international coverage we got, how can somebody, if they did this, how can they do it and not think, gee whiz, we've got police monitor, feds, counsel, criminal justice committee, public integrity bureau, all watching us. And I got to tell you, one of the questions I had when I looked at this, is there an IQ test? Or are these people, if they did this, are they the only ones that just aren't very smart? That was the first thing that came to me. And the second thing to me is the trust. How do we trust? WWL, Big 870 AM, 105.3 FM.